Song-yu knew from the very beginning that hers was a marriage of convenience. Gu Cheng, her husband, the esteemed CEO of the Gu Group, had never tried to hide his lack of affection. Their luxurious apartment, a testament to their wealth, felt more like a gilded cage, echoing with the silence of their unspoken words, their unshared dreams. 3 years she had spent as Mrs. Gu Cheng, 3 years of her life, fading away like a delicate flower starved of sunlight. She wasn't oblivious to the whispers circulating in their social circles. Gu Cheng, with his striking looks and icy demeanor, was a prize many coveted. Yet none dared to approach, for everyone knew he held a torch for another, a woman from his past, a ghost that haunted their present. Song-yu had tried, she really had, tried to break through the wall around his heart, tried to ignite a spark in his cold eyes, but every attempt was met with indifference, pushing her further into the abyss of despair. One evening, Gu Cheng came home later than usual, his crisp white shirt slightly crumpled, a faint scent of an unfamiliar perfume clinging to his jacket. He didn't offer an explanation, and Song-yu didn't ask. The pretense of a happy marriage had long since faded. She simply served him dinner, her heart heavy with unshed tears, the silence at the dinner table deafening. That night, as she lay awake in their vast bed, a single tear escaped and traced a lonely path down her cheek. Song-yu realized that she couldn't keep clinging to a love that was never truly hers. The news came crashing into Song-yu's life like a tidal wave, washing away the fragile peace she had painstakingly built around herself. Shen Qinghuan was back. Gu Cheng's first love, the woman who held his heart captive, had returned after 3 long years abroad. Newspapers splashed Shen Qinghuan's photos across their front pages, her radiant smile a stark contrast to the hollowness in Song-yu's heart. The whispers grew louder, bolder, no longer veiled behind polite smiles and empty pleasantries. Gu Cheng made no attempt to quell the rumors, his silence speaking volumes. Song-yu watched as her husband, who always maintained a safe distance from her, was now constantly seen with Shen Qinghuan. Pictures of them together, his eyes reflecting a tenderness she had never witnessed, were a constant reminder of her place in his life, a placeholder, a temporary arrangement. One evening, Gu Cheng returned home late, his face etched with fatigue. He barely acknowledged her presence as he poured himself a drink, his movements stiff, his gaze distant. Song-yu watched him from across the room, a silent observer in her own life. "She's back," Song-yu finally said, her voice barely a whisper. Gu Cheng stiffened, his fingers tightening around the crystal glass. He didn't need to ask who she was referring to. They both knew. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken truths, a confirmation of their crumbling marriage. The inevitable arrived on a day that began like any other. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the living room in a golden hue. Gu Cheng sat across from her, his expression unreadable, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within her. He spoke, his voice devoid of emotion. "Song-yu, we need to talk about our marriage." And with those words, the charade was over. He didn't beat around the bush, didn't offer platitudes. Gu Cheng was always direct, his words sharp and precise, much like his business dealings. He spoke of incompatibility, of unfulfilled expectations, of their marriage being a mistake from the start. Each word was a tiny shard of glass, piercing through her heart, drawing blood, yet leaving her surprisingly numb. Finally, he uttered the words she had been both dreading and expecting. "I want a divorce." To his surprise, Song-yu didn't cry, didn't plead, didn't fight. She had spent 3 years suppressing her feelings, burying them deep within herself. Now, faced with the end of her marriage, she felt a strange sense of calm descend upon her. With a steady hand, she picked up the pen he offered and signed the divorce papers, each stroke of the pen severing the ties that had bound them. As she looked up at Gu Cheng, a wave of exhaustion washed over her. It was over. The news of their divorce spread through their social circles like wildfire. Sympathy, disguised as thinly veiled gossip, followed Song-yu wherever she went. People whispered behind her back, speculating about the settlement, questioning her next move. Their marriage might have been a loveless one, but it had afforded her a certain social standing, a protection that was now gone. Song-yu withdrew from the public eye, seeking solace in the quiet confines of her childhood home. Her parents, their faces etched with worry, welcomed her back with open arms. Their love, unconditional and unwavering, was the balm she needed to soothe her wounded spirit. She spent her days reading, painting, reconnecting with herself, discovering passions she had suppressed during her marriage. The divorce settlement was generous, more than enough to ensure her financial security. But it was the ownership of the villa they had shared, the one place she had truly felt at home, that brought her a sense of closure. It was a fresh start, a tangible symbol of her newfound independence. She renovated the villa, transforming it into a sanctuary, a reflection of her own evolving identity, free from the shadows of the past. Life, I discovered, has a way of surprising you, especially when you least expect it. One day, while I was attending a charity gala with a friend, I happened to bump into a renowned film director, a woman celebrated for her powerful storytelling and her keen eye for talent. Our conversation, though it was brief, sparked something deep inside me, reigniting a dream I had almost forgotten. Acting had always been my passion, ever since I was a child, a dream I had set aside for the sake of my family's wishes and all that pressure from society to secure a good marriage. Now, finally free from the shackles of my past, I felt this renewed sense of purpose. Encouraged by the director's words, I decided to take a leap of faith. I enrolled in acting classes, threw myself into the craft, and started rediscovering the joy of losing myself in a character, of breathing life into the words written on a page. My natural talent, shaped by years of holding back my emotions, began to shine through. My classmates, many of them aspiring actors with years of training, were honestly amazed by my raw talent and dedication. For the first time in so many years, I felt truly alive. Song Yu's done crying, now she's the movie queen. Gu Cheng's groveling, but is it too late? Vote below, let him burn! Give him one chance. Share your thoughts on which direction Song Yu will take. Will she forgive him, or is it over for Mr. Gu? Check the Qimao link and comment to continue with Song Yu's journey of discovery. My big break came sooner than I ever expected. The director I had met at the gala, impressed by my talent and dedication, offered me a supporting role in her upcoming film. It was a challenging role, nothing like the glamorous parts usually given to newcomers. But I embraced the challenge, pouring my heart and soul into every moment of my performance. The film was a poignant tale of love, loss, and redemption, and it resonated deeply with audiences and critics alike. My performance, though it was brief, left a lasting impression. My portrayal of a woman grappling with heartbreak was raw, honest, and deeply moving, a reflection of my own journey of self-discovery. Overnight, I became a sensation. The media, who at first were skeptical of a socialite-turned-actress, found themselves captivated by my talent and the story that brought me here. Suddenly, offers for roles started pouring in, each one more substantial than the last. I chose my projects carefully, drawn to stories that spoke to me, roles that challenged me, and allowed me to really showcase the depth and range of my acting abilities. While Song Yu's star was on the rise, Gu Cheng found himself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions he hadn't anticipated. The divorce, which he had initiated with such certainty, now felt like a gaping wound in his life. He had convinced himself that he was freeing both of them from a loveless marriage, that he was, doing Song Yu a favor by letting her go. Now, as he watched her blossom, her face gracing magazine covers, her name on everyone's lips, he was forced to confront the consequences of his choices. His relationship with Shen Qinghuan, once a beacon of hope, had lost its luster. Their reunion, though initially exhilarating, was now tainted by the ghost of his past, by the realization that time had changed them both in ways they hadn't anticipated. The easy camaraderie they once shared had given way to awkward silences and unspoken resentments. Gu Cheng found himself drawn to news about Song Yu, his eyes scanning headlines, his heart aching with a mixture of regret and longing. He watched her interviews, mesmerized by her intelligence, her wit, her quiet confidence. The woman he had dismissed as a naive socialite had blossomed into a captivating artist, her talent undeniable, her spirit inspiring. And he, the architect of his own misfortune, could only watch from the sidelines, consumed by a regret that gnawed at his soul. As Song Yu's fame grew, so did Gu Cheng's attempts to rekindle their lost connection. He began by sending flowers, extravagant bouquets that arrived at her doorstep with impersonal notes. When those were met with polite but distant acknowledgments, he escalated his efforts, showing up at her film premieres, arranging chance encounters through mutual acquaintances. Each attempt was met with the same polite but firm rejection. Song Yu had moved on, not out of spite or bitterness, but out of a deep sense of self-preservation. She had spent years trying to earn his love, only to be met with indifference. Now, she refused to be anyone's second choice, to be a consolation prize in a game she never agreed to play. One evening, unable to bear the distance any longer, Gu Cheng showed up at her doorstep, a bouquet of her favorite lilies in hand. He poured his heart out, confessing his regret, begging for a second chance. Song Yu listened patiently, her heart heavy with a mixture of pity and sadness. When he was finished, she spoke, her voice soft but firm. "Gu Cheng, I appreciate your honesty, but we both know this is a mistake. We can't go back." With those words, she closed the door on their past, leaving him standing on her doorstep, the weight of his regret crushing him. Life, Song Yu learned, was not about waiting for a prince to rescue you. It was about finding happiness within yourself, about pursuing your passions and embracing the journey, with all its twists and turns. She threw herself into her work, each role a chance to explore the depths of human emotion, to connect with audiences on a visceral level. She found joy in simple pleasures, early morning walks on the beach, spending time with her family, mentoring aspiring actors, supporting charitable causes close to her heart. Her life, once defined by her marital status, was now her own, a tapestry woven with threads of independence, creativity, and compassion. Love, she discovered, came in many forms. The unwavering support of her parents, the camaraderie of her fellow actors, the loyalty of her newfound friends, the adoration of her fans. These were the loves that truly mattered, the loves that filled her life with meaning and purpose. She was no longer the naive young woman who had entered into a loveless marriage, desperate for validation. She was Song Yu, a woman of substance, a talented artist, a loyal friend, a beloved daughter, and she was enough. Years later, Song Yu stood on stage accepting the prestigious Golden Phoenix Award for Best Actress. As she gazed out at the applauding audience, she couldn't help but reflect on her journey. The heartbreak, the self-doubt, the struggle to find her voice, it had all been worth it. She had emerged from the ashes of her past, stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. She had proven that happiness wasn't a destination, but a choice, a daily act of courage and self-love. Her story was a testament to the indomitable spirit of a woman who dared to dream, who dared to walk away from a loveless marriage, who dared to chase her passions, and in doing so, inspired countless others to do the same. As she looked out at the sea of faces, Song Yu knew that her journey was far from over. There would be new challenges, new heartbreaks, new triumphs, but she was ready, armed with the lessons of her past and the unwavering belief in her own strength. The future stretched before her, bright and full of promise, a blank canvas on which she was free to paint her own masterpiece. The story continues. Dive into the next chapters via the link below. Trust me, the drama escalates. Link issues? Copy the Chinese title. Search directly on Qimao or QQ. Auto-translate recommended. Skip pirate sites. Support the author's craft.